All right, so we are going to be working on dividing. So when we are talking about dividing, we have to remember the steps for long division. We're going to slowly get there. We're relating it, but remember we have dad, mom, sister, brother, rover. So divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. So those are the steps and they'll always be up there. You can click on them. So let's look at number 1. First, it wants us to draw the discs on the place value chart so we can divide this by 3 so we can solve it. So how many ones are in this first number? There are 4 ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 2 tenths. We have 3 hundredths. And then we have 6 thousandths. All right, so first we're going to start in our ones place. So over here, what we would be doing is we would divide. So what we would be dividing would be that 4 divided by 3. So first I'm focused on 4 divided by 3. I know that it can go 1, 2, 3. So I got rid of 3 of those. I have 1 left over. So if I took 4 divided by 3, it equals 1. So we've divided, but now it says that we need to multiply. And the numbers that we multiply are our divisor times our partial quotient. So we're going to multiply 3 times 1, which is 3. We're going to write that here. And then that takes us to our next step, which is to subtract. That's basically going to figure out what we have left. We already know we have 1 left. But over here, for traditional or the standard algorithm, we would have 1 left over. Well, our next step is to bring down. Well, our next step when we bring it down is the same thing as us over here saying this 1 can go over to the tenths. But when it goes over to the tenths, it's not 1 anymore, it's 10 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now how many tenths do I have? I have those 10, 11, 12. Well, when I bring down, I now have 12. So in our steps, we just brought down. Now we're repeating if necessary. We still have numbers to divide, so we're going to repeat. So we go back up to the top and we divide. So now we don't have 4 divided by 3. Now we're dividing 12 divided by 3. So I'm going to take those 12 tenths and split them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those 12 tenths divided by 3 divided all evenly. I got rid of all of them. So those divided, there were 4 in a group. So on our steps, we are at multiply. Well, we multiply my 4 in the tenths place times my 3, my partial quotient 4 times my divisor 3, which would give me 12. So now in my instructions, I'm at subtract. Oops, sorry about that. So now I'm going to subtract those 2. I get 0. So now in my directions, I'm at bring down. I have a 3 to bring down, so I'm going to bring down that 3. So now I'm in the hundredths place. And I still have 3 hundredths over here. In my traditional, I have 3 hundredths as well. So 3 hundredths, I'm going to divide those. In my steps, I'm at divide. So I'm going to take 3 hundredths divided by 3 now. So 1, 2, 3. So that was pretty easy. 3 hundredths divided into 3 equal groups, there's 1. So now in my directions, I'm on step 2, which is multiply. So I'm going to multiply my partial quotient 1 times my divisor 3. 1 times 3 is 3, so I'm going to write that down below. Now my instructions, I'm on step 3, which is to subtract. 3 minus 3 is 0, which is what we did here. When I divided those out, I had nothing left over. So we're on step 4, which is to bring down. So I bring down my 6. Well, that would just be how many thousands we have. So now in my instructions, repeat. Well, we were able to bring something down. I still have something to divide, so I need to go back up and divide. So 6, can't write with your eraser. So I'm at 6 thousandths divided by 3. So let's divide that. 1, 2, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6 thousandths. So I did divide it. 6 divided by 3 was 2. Each one, there were 2 in there. Oh, I kind of made like a meh face. So now in my steps, I'm on step 2, which is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply my partial quotient 2 times my divisor 3. And I would get 6. Go to my steps. It says to subtract. Well, when I subtract those, it's even. I got rid of all of the thousands here, so I should get a 0. Now it says to bring down. Do I have anything left to bring down over here? Nope. So now I'm done. Except for I'm not done because there was a decimal in my original problem. So now I need to bring that decimal straight up. And I can double check. There should be 1, 2, 3 behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3. So my final product is 1 and 412 thousandths. So I know that feels like a lot of steps. We won't stay with doing the place value chart with the discs and traditional. What we're going to eventually move to is just traditional. But while we are going step by step, just try to remind yourself with the discs. If the discs are a little bit too much, just stick with traditional. In person, it would be a little bit easier to help model it for you. So let's go on to number 2. We're going to do the same thing. So we need 1 disc in the ones place, 3 discs in the tenths, 2 discs in the hundredths, and 4 in the thousandths. Now this whole time we're dividing by 2. So let's go ahead and start off with our directions. First, we're dividing. We start with our ones place. So we're taking 1 divided by 2. Can I take this 1 disc right here and can I divide it evenly between these two? The answer is no. So I'm going to put a 0 right here. And the reason that we put a 0 there is because I want to take those ones and I want them to go over to the tenths. And remember, 1 1 is equal to 10 tenths. So I get to put 10 more discs in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So before we get to having 13 tenths, let's follow the rest of our directions. So step 2, it says to multiply. So we have our partial quotient 0 and our divisor 2. That's what we're going to multiply. 0 times 2 is 0. Now we're at step 3, which is to subtract. So I would subtract 1 minus 0, which is 1. And then we're at step 4, which is to bring down. I suggest that you start solving this on your whiteboard as I'm solving it. If you need to pause, go ahead. But practice solving those steps as I'm doing them. So we bring down the 3. So now I have 13 tenths just like I have over here. 13 divided by 2 is our new problem. So we are at step 1 because we needed to repeat. We're at divide, 13 divided by 2. So I'm going to take these 13 tenths and split them between into 2 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I wouldn't have enough for an equal group. So I was able to get rid of all but one of those. So all of them but this one right here did not get divided. So when I divided them equally, there were 6 in a group, which makes sense because 6 times 2 is 12, but 6 times 7 would be 14. So that's too big. So now we're at step 2, which is to multiply. We're going to multiply our partial quotient 6 times our divisor 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. And then we are on step 3, which is to subtract. So I'm going to subtract here. I get 1. Now we are at bring down the next place value, which would be a 2. All right. So to get these 1200ths, what we've got to do is we've got to take this 1/10 and bring it over here. But 1/10 does not equal 100th. It equals 10 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I have 12 hundredths, and I'm going to divide that evenly into 2 groups. So now my problem is 12 divided by 2, and we are back up at step 1 to divide because we brought down, we still need to keep going. So now we're back up to divide. 12 divided by 2, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I divided those evenly. I have 6 hundredths right here. So I'm going to put my 6 right up here. Now we are at step 2, which is to multiply. We're going to multiply our partial quotient times our divisor. 6 times 2 is 12. So now we are at subtract. So we're going to subtract 12 minus 12, which gives us 0. So now we are at step 4, which is to bring down. Did we have something to bring down? Yes. So then we repeat. So we're going to go up to divide. Well, now we're not dividing 12 by 2. We're going to divide what we have down below right here by 2. We have 4 divided by 2, which is those 4 thousandths that are right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. When I divide 4 thousandths by 2, I get 2 thousandths. So I'm going to put my 2 here. Now we're at step 2, which is to multiply. So I'm multiplying my partial quotient 2 times my divisor 2, and I get 4. Now I subtract. Going to subtract those two numbers. I got 0. Now my next step is to bring down. I don't have anything left, no more digits to bring down. So that means that we finished our problem, except for, again, we haven't truly finished our problem. There is a decimal in our original problem. So right up here, I'm going to travel up. Sorry about that. Travel up and put my decimal right there. So 1 and 324 thousandths divided by 2 is 662 thousandths. All right, so you have 3 problems here that they would like you to just they would like you to solve using the standard algorithm. So I will help you put the first one into our standard algorithm. Our divisor, we're dividing by 3. So our divisor goes on the outside, and our dividend is the first number that goes inside. My suggestion to you would be to click Add Page, and to solve each one, oh, you might have to drag that page all the way up here, and then put each one on its own page so you have space to solve it. Also, learn from my mistake. If you start doing, you can look at all the directions here. If you start solving it and you don't have any space to write up here, you need to undo that and give yourself space. You can also solve it on your whiteboard, leaving the instructions up so you could solve it on your whiteboard, so you could remember step by step, and then go ahead and copy your work onto here. So there would be one page, and then I would make another page to solve this one, and then just use this page to write your final product instead of trying to squeeze 3 division problems onto here. It's not ideal to be solving it on here. All right, let's really quickly go to number 4. I don't know how to pronounce this last name, so we're going to call her Mrs. N. She used 148 hundredths meters of netting to make 4 identical mini hockey goals. How much netting did she use per goal? So we have our hole right here. That's how much total netting she used. And we know that she made 4 goals. That's our part. But what we don't know is the netting used on one goal. That's our other part. That is the part we don't know. So if we know the whole and one part but not the other part, that makes it either a subtraction problem or a division problem. So let's go ahead and label our tape diagram. 1 48 hundredths of a meter. She made 1, 2, 3, 4 goals, but what I don't know is how much net she used per goal. So I do know that there was 1, 2, 3, 4 goals made. So that makes a division problem for us. 1 48 hundredths divided by 4 are 4 goals. So then 1 48 hundredths divided by 4. First direction is to divide. So I'm going to take 1 divided by 4. I'm going to write that over here. First step is 1 divided by 4. Well, if I had 1 pencil and I tried to divide it between 4 people, I wouldn't be able to give anybody a whole pencil. So the answer is 0. So now we're at step 2, multiply. 0 times 4 is 0. I'm at step 3, which is subtract. So 1 minus 0 is, I gotta make these a little bit smaller, otherwise I'm gonna run out of room. 0, subtract 1. Now I'm at step 4, which is to bring down. All right. Do I have a 0? Nope. So I repeat. I'm back at divide. So I have now 14 divided by 4. So I'm going to put that over here. Now I'm doing, should have just erased it, 14 divided by 4. Well, I know my 4s pretty well. So I have 4, 8. I said I know them pretty well and then I messed it up. 8, 12, 16, 20. We can stop there for now. If we need more, we'll go back and add. So the closest that I could get is to get to 12, because if I did 16, that would go over. That would be too big. So the closest I can get to 12, which is 4 times 3. So now I'm at step 2, which is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply my partial quotient 3 times my divisor 4, and I get 12. Now I'm at step 3, which is to subtract, and I get 2. Now I'm at step 4, which is to bring down. I'm going to bring down that final number, which is 8. Am I at 0 now? No, so I need to repeat. So I'm back up at divide. So now I'm dividing, not 14, now I'm dividing 28 divided by 4. And look at that, I didn't go high enough on my multiples of 4. So I'm going to go back over here, 20, then it goes 24, and then 28. So to divide 28 by 4, I would have to take 4 times 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7. So 28 divided by 4 is 7. Now I'm at step 2, which is to multiply. 7 times 4 is 28. Now I'm at step 3, which is to subtract 0. Now I'm at step 4, which is to bring down. Well, I have nothing else to bring down. So I've finished the division process, but now I need to remember my decimal, which goes straight above it, and it goes in between the 0 and the 3. So it's important to keep your numbers lined up so that way you can bring your decimal up. So each netting, or each goal, I should say, each goal used 0 and 37 hundredths meters of netting. And I can click off of it, drag it down to an emptier spot, and make it a little bit smaller so it fits in there. And now I've created my statement. All right, so for your exit ticket, you're going to be doing one example with the place value chart. And what I would just suggest is you're going to draw in one line. So you can draw in discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2. And then you're dividing it into 2. So then I would take the remaining space and divide it into 2 groups. So that way you can divide this and then also show your steps with the standard algorithm. And then your second question for the exit ticket is to just solve it with the standard algorithm. So I try to give you plenty of space, but if you are having a hard time, do it on your whiteboard. The best thing that you could do too is you could actually include a picture by taking a photo of your whiteboard that shows all of your steps if you'd like to do that as well. All right, good luck, Bella.